Okay, today we're talking about how to get aesthetic. You know, you got David Lade over here. You got Jeff Side, Dorian. I've been watching Dorian Srirachi and Owen Henley videos. I've been channeling them in my mind for the past 2 weeks, and now I'm gonna tell you how you get an aesthetic V-taper like this beautiful guy that I've drawn over here. Isn't this guy just the most aesthetic? Okay, I was drawing it with my mouse, so it was a bit hard. So this picture of David is warped a little bit from when I added it, but basically he sort of looks like the drawing over here, except his delts are way more capped. Okay, there's a couple muscles I'm going to talk about in this video that'll show you how to get that V-taper you heard. So first thing we got is shoulders. Now, if you look at both of these guys, you probably would have heard this before on like Looks Maxi or whatever. These guys have the same width clavicles, okay? But the guy on the left is untrained small shoulders, and this guy on the right has trained shoulders. Okay, so if I draw a line from like the outside width of his shoulders to the outside width of his waist, you can see this angle over here, right? So like that's the angle of the V-taper on him. But if we do it on this guy, see how the angle changes? See how it's a much more prominent V? Even though he has the same width clavicles, his delts are much larger and rounder, giving him the appearance of wider clavicles. Like if you look at me, my clavicles aren't that wide, and also my shoulders aren't that developed. But if they were, I would look way bigger, right? So that's what we're saying. And then of course over here you have wide clavicles where, you know, you already have the inbuilt V-taper, but building bigger shoulders will give you an even better V-taper. You know what I'm saying? So there's three main heads of the shoulder, right? So you got the front, the side, and the rear. It's split up into more, but that's what it is essentially. The side delt, you can pretty much just train with a lateral raise to the side, and you do lateral raises, any variation, 2 to 3 times a week, right? So you're getting enough volume. Lateral raises, your shoulder won't fatigue that much. Okay, next up we got the front delt. Now everyone online's like, oh, you train your front delt enough doing pressing movements, incline movements, whatever. Don't worry about training it. You need to train it. Okay, I'm gonna show you my shoulders right now. So if we look at my right shoulder, you can see the front delt's like pretty well developed. The rear delt's kind of lacking a little bit. Side delt's there. And if you look at my left side, where's my front delt? It's gone. Do you know why? Because the only reason my front delt on my right side is developed is from playing baseball. If I didn't play baseball, my right delt would also look like this. Because I would skip front delts because everyone told me I didn't need to train them. You need to train them. Okay. So basically, what you want to do is you want to get strong on a shoulder press, an overhead press, any form. More stable is better. It will train your shoulders, and it also train your side delts as well. Getting strong on this will grow your front delts, okay? For front delts as well, you want to be doing overhead presses maybe like twice a week, something like that. We've done the front delts, we've done the side delts, now onto your rear delts. You want to get really strong on like a row or a pull down. Just focus on getting that strong. And then rear delts, you go in the rows, like rows 2 to 3 times a week, 2 to 3 times a week, and then, or pull down, it's just a pulling movement. And then you can also do rear delts. So I do rear delt flies on the pec deck, but I feel like that's not as optimal. If you get it on the cable, you can line up, because if your arm is across like this, across your body, so this is your right arm, rear delt aligns the same direction as the cable, which will give it better leverage, which means you can increase the tension on it, mechanical tension. So when you have it up here in line with your rear delt and you do that, you keep your shoulder blade back, and still you will be able to get more rear delt activation. Next muscle group, lats. Just train your delts. You'll have the big shoulders and then you'll just kind of disappear. But what the lats do is they like accentuate the shape. So here you've got this guy who doesn't train lats, and his torso is like just straight up and down, right? But if you train the lats, it'll bring this shape round, and so it's wide at the top and narrow around your waist, which will help accentuate your V taper. And basically with your lats, you can do a shoulder extension where you bring your arm up and then down, so that'll be a cool down like this, where you keep your elbows in front of you and keep your torso stacked and pulled through your elbows. And when you do that, you want to keep your shoulder blades still, because if you keep your shoulder blades still, it's mostly the lat contracting. But if you're here and doing this, using a lot more upper back and less lats, it's essentially the same movement as a pull over or a narrow grip row, where you're rowing and stretching and contracting the lats like that. And then also a wide grip pull down, doing the shoulder adduction as well, will train the lats. Next up is your abs, right? You need your abs. You need to be a low body fat. Everyone says low body fat. Get the low body fat, you'll be able to see your abs. This is wrong. You can get to a low body fat, your abs will appear more visible. But if you want them to pop, like David's abs, you actually need to train them. So this is what it would look like if you got to a low body fat and then train them. You'll be like sort of there, but it's like you're lean, but the midsection is kind of lacking. If you train them, they'll actually pop like this. All you need to do is train your spinal flexion. So it's either a crunch where you're lying like this and you sit down and then you sit up like that, or a hanging leg raise where your legs go like this and then like this, and you're basically trying to get the spine to curve to flex the abs. And then finally is the upper chest. Now if you look at this picture of David, you can clearly see his upper chest separated from the rest of his chest, which is absolutely insane. So here's my diagram. This is the shoulder, this is the arm, this is the chest. You can see how the fibers stretch across here, the mid chest, and change direction down, which would be this way. And of course, as you get higher, it gets more like this. So what you want to be doing, you all know incline benching for upper chest, but the upper chest, since it's also the fibers are facing this way, involved in shoulder flexion like this, where your arm starts low and goes high. So if you're just incline benching out here, yes, it'll train your upper chest, but if you tuck your elbows in, you'll get more shoulder flexion, so the stretch, and it will also contract better for the upper chest. These are the types of physiques you want to avoid. Obviously Eddie Hall's high body fat here, but because of the powerlifting, his waist is so wide from his core muscles that his V taper is very lacking. And so you're doing stuff like even though I do like powerlifting to train as, if you powerlift or do strongman, your waist will become wider and the V taper will be less prominent. And then of course you got the athlete build. Like, yes, these guys are built well, but if we zoom in, you notice how all of their V tapers aren't really there. Like their waists are very blocky, straight down, they all look like this. And if we go out and look at David's waist, it's very, very defined, very shaped. You know what I'm saying? So you want to avoid powerlifting and strongman type action, and avoid training like an athlete. That if you're in the gym to get a V taper, why are you training for athletic movements if you're not actually an athlete? You know what I'm saying? So that's the video. Boy 1 out.